Iowa is an interesting state. Most people think of it as being very conservative, and there are a lot of conservative, faith-based voters in the state. But Iowa also has a long history of being very sort of civil liberties oriented. The Supreme Court of Iowa, I think I wrote a piece for you in the book on the history of very, let's call it progressive, generous civil liberties findings or policies by the Iowa Judiciary. And the most recent one was, of course, when the issue of gay marriage came up, and the Iowa Supreme Court unanimously said that state law prohibiting gay marriage was unconstitutional. If you study that law, you'll find some interesting things in it. Just to give you a summary of it here, they basically said that everybody is entitled to due process, and discrimination against individuals for reasons that are not because of the urgency for the protection of the state, in other words, the government, the security of the government, and so on, should be prohibited, and that they could find no compelling reason to prohibit two people, regardless of whether they're the same sex or not, from entering into a contractual agreement basically called a marriage, because the Supreme Court said no one has been able to prove to us that there is a compelling reason to do that, that there is a threat to the state, a threat to society, and so on. That is very interesting because it kind of parallels the findings of the federal judiciary when it was asked to begin making rulings on segregation and also on anti-miscegenation laws, laws that prohibit people of a different race from getting married. Eventually the courts on that said there isn't any threat to society and to the stability of the state and to the happiness of other people if these two people here enter into a marriage and enter into a marital contract. It doesn't take away from heterosexual or from marriages of people of the same race and so on. So that was the argument that was made. It's an interesting case. It's gotten a lot of attention. I hope you'll study it a little bit because I think you'll find it to be intellectually kind of puzzling. I know that it contradicts a lot of your own personal, maybe your family's moral values and so on. I just remind you that nobody is telling you that you have to marry someone of the same sex, nor that you even have to approve of it, frankly. I mean, you should be able to maintain your own personal integrity on issues, but all it says is it's not your right to stop other people from doing certain things, and this one happens to be one of them. I think there are a lot of acts that the Iowa Supreme Court would say legitimately should be prohibited, a lot of relationships. Probably don't want to talk about those here, but maybe you can think of some of them that this court would say, no, that is not a legitimate argument, and there is a compelling reason for society and therefore for the state and government to prohibit that. I hope this is a good puzzle for you. See you in later.